Nieves is a former NYPD detective and says...
The late photographer, journalist Ardina Seward. Nice to see you, Ardina.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Your Pet Detective Show. I'm Angel Nieves, your pet detective, and my partner, Ardina Seward, cannot make it today, but she'll be here next week. And before we start, please subscribe to this channel and put the notification button for future channels, for future shows. But today's a very important topic. Winter's coming. Winter's close. Actually, winter's almost here, and we're getting very cold weather. And we have to worry about our pets. I'm talking about pets left outside in the cold. I'm talking about stray pets. I'm talking about the coldness out there that can actually freeze, the danger, where they hide inside engines. I mean, so many things we're going to talk about. And just to give you an idea, let me show you a video. Hello, Kristin.
Hello. Hey, Angel. Hey, everybody.
I had to bring you back. We had you last week. There were so many more things we have to talk about. So I had to bring you back. Okay?
I'm so glad to be back.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're talking about today is pets left out in the cold.
Oh, my gosh. That video was just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
And you see it constantly all over the country.
All over the country.
New York.
You know, I wanted to tell you when I was the part where you were showing the stray cats and we're going to talk about stray versus hay or straw versus hay. I can't tell you how many times when I had a colony near me that I was taking care of that I dreaded in the spring because I knew I was going to find dead bodies for those that didn't make it throughout the winter. And believe me, I did everything I could to find homes for the cats that I had a colony for. I found homes for most of them. Some of them I just couldn't find homes for in time, and it's soul crushing. It is soul crushing to see the ones that don't make it.
Yes, I mean, I've seen it myself. I did a couple of rescue myself. I remember once on Common Avenue, St. Nicholas Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
I went there and they had the homes. I mean, they did a nice job. You know, they tried, and they put them in their homes, and they had them. But what happened was they put too much hay.
Yep.
With the rain, and they put hay, and with the rain, the snow, the poor cats get stuck in there, and they can't get out, and they freeze to death.
Yep.
So we find like fur and bones, and I mean, there has to be classes for this. There are classes for this for people who want to go out there and help. But what I want to talk about is, for starters, is dogs left outside.
Yep.
You see that. You see it in the suburb, but we also see it in the city. And they tie them up and they leave them out there to take care of the home. Like, how can they take care of the home outside tied up?
Let me just tell you, the young woman in my building. First of all, before you adopt, you need to learn how to care for your animal, and particularly when it's in cold weather. A young woman in my building tied her dog up outside the building, and we're a building of animal lovers. So the second she did that, we all know the dog. We all see the dog. Everybody got on this woman. And she acted like, what did I do? What did I do? And we were like, you do not leave your dog out in the cold. And it was a rather chilly night. And I don't know why she did it. I think she wanted to, just have him get air. But take your dog for a walk and then come back inside. You do not leave your animal out in the cold for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that also, but the thing is, I mean, I got an excuse once is that I'm working and the
Mhm.
dog is doesn't let me work, so I let him outside. And I mean, now the dog is bored outside, so what's gonna happen then? The mischief is they're gonna do it, they can end up being missing.
Right.
But the thing is, leaving the dogs outside, I mean, what's the danger behind leaving the dog outside? You gotta leave a bowl and food out there. I mean, what's the danger for them? Do they get to drink water or?
If you leave your dog outside,
Well, leaving the dog outside in this cold weather, like 10 degrees, and just leave the food out there and
well,
wait.
yeah, I mean, number one, they'll freeze to death. That's the first thing. The water will freeze, so they won't have any water. Um, they, you know, the worst thing is that they will just quite literally, their bodies will just shut down because they're using so much energy to try to keep warm. The fact that they have fur doesn't mean that they can withstand the cold any better than a human. Um, you know, Huskies are pretty good with the cold. I mean, their fur, their skin is really thick, but that doesn't mean you leave them out in the cold all night long. Any animal should be kept inside. The danger is that, one, they'll freeze to death. That's the main thing. The other thing is that somebody that sees them left outside will just come and take them. A lot of times, if somebody leaves their dog out, they can be subjected to be stolen, and then people use them for bait dogs or fighting dogs, depending on the dog. Um, all kinds of horrible things can happen to animals when you just leave them unattended like that. Even when you're just leaving I always tell my friend, he has a backyard, and I always tell him, you have to make sure your backyard is enclosed. There are no places where your dog can get out underneath the gate, or can unlatch the gate in any way. Make sure you have a gate, number one. And just make sure your dog is always safe. They're like a child. It's the same thing. You don't want to leave a child unattended. You don't want to leave your dog unattended.
Right. I mean, I've done a lot of cases. People call me, oh, that someone must have stole the dog. The dog actually, there's a wall, there's a gate, everything's secured, and I find a way how this can work to get away. It's not because they're stolen, it's because they went underneath the gate, they actually jumped, they actually climbed. They even had a Chihuahua climb a 10-foot wall, a Chihuahua, and went up to the roofs up in Australia.
Oh
So
my God.
it's different, but the thing is the coldness, the cold out. I mean, let me tell you one thing. I know you're a rescuer, but if a rescuer get a chance to get that dog out of there, they will. And I don't care how much money you have in the world, that dog is going nowhere back to the owner because they
Yeah.
believe that the dog belongs to a better home, even though it's considered burglary and criminal possession of stolen property. And they
Mhm.
believe the thing is in jail. Okay, but the thing is, in the mindset is, which in a way is true that that animal is in danger and could actually die.
I mean, that's really what I almost did not allow this young woman in my building to have this dog back. And I told her, I said, if I see this dog out here one more time, if I see you not walking your dog, I'm calling the humane law enforcement, because your dog is better off in foster care. If I could take the dog, I would take it in a heartbeat. If I had a house, Angel, my home would be filled with animals, I can assure you. But I couldn't take the dog, and I really don't feel like people take into account the care. In fact, before I came on the show, I was just online with somebody who just posted something on on the local. We have our local, our local site of connecting neighbors. Oh, I need to rehome my dog because I'm having some life changes, and I had to chime in, and I just said to her, your hard times are not an excuse to abandon your animal. When you adopt, it's for life. That's it, period, full stop. If you can't foresee any of your worst life circumstances before you adopt, then you should not be adopting, period. I myself have gone through loss of jobs, illness, loss of people in my life. I've gone through everything, and I never ever once thought of giving my animal up. That's my child, and my child is going to go with me through everything, thick and thin. So now there's not another dog out there that's going to be rehomed or trying to find a home for this poor dog. And the hope is that she just doesn't abandon him somewhere. You know, the hope is that we don't see a dog running down the street somewhere, you know, and that was my biggest thing.
Tied up in the park.
Tied up in the park, tied up at a, you know, sometimes people just tie their dog up at somebody else's house or at a shelter. You know, these are situations that I really just can't stress it enough. If you cannot make the commitment for life, then please do not adopt an animal. They deserve better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Walking the dogs.
Walking the dogs.
Walking dogs in the cold.
Yes.
Okay, I put on my coat. I'm nice and warm.
Yep.
And I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I have a pit bull, and he's going out there in the 10-degree weather with no booties, no coat, no nothing.
You do?
Of course not. I'm saying the person.
Oh, yeah.
No way. I have my little Maltese, and if the cat did it was the way my mother used to do me when I was a kid. Just push me and just roll. You know what I mean? So I'm not that warm. So don't blame my little doggy.
Yeah.
But actually, I had a Bichon. But I'm saying people do that with pit bulls.
Oh, I know.
Dogs.
They don't put anything on them. One of the things I also remind people to do, there's something called bag balm. There are similar items. It's like a thick, I don't know how, almost like a petroleum. You can put it on your dog's paws before they go out if you don't have booties, but you should have booties if you can. Because when you go outside in the cold with your dog, you have to remember all the salt that they're putting on the sidewalk mixes with the water and it burns their paws, almost like heat. It just burns. I remember, I didn't know this was way years ago. I learned this lesson once. I was walking my dog and we were going on the sidewalk and she kept lifting her paws. And I'm looking at her like, is there something in her paws? And when I came home, I looked at her paws. They were all cracked, Angel, all cracked from the salt and the water that mixed. And I was like, oh my God, I felt so bad. That moment on, she never went out with anything, with bare paws. I made sure she had something on them. So make sure they have something on their paws, or put that bag balm on, some petroleum, a coat, a little hat, whatever you can find. Make sure they're warm.
Yeah.
Cute and warm.
Anything that goes on their paws, they lick it off.
Yeah, that's why this stuff it's not harmful if they lick it off. They make it so that, and they only put a little bit, and by the time they come in, it's pretty much off their paws, so you don't have to worry about it tracking in your house.
You mean the city when they throw out the salt?
Before you go out,
the salt that I see the sanitation throw is look like rocks.
Yes, yeah.
So if they step on that or they lick their paws, it's not poison to them?
Oh no, that stuff is not good. I'm talking about the stuff you put on before they go out. That petroleum stuff is okay. No, that stuff is really bad. You don't want them ingesting that stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They lick their paws.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing like antifreeze.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but because it's wintertime, they're going to pick up any other crap that's on the sidewalk as well. Even though you can't see it, or if they're, if there's snow on the ground, they're still going to get stuff. The snow mixes with whatever is on the ground. And then also their paws can freeze. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but if you don't have anything for their paws, the fur, all the snow makes their fur stick together, and that's really painful for them as well. They get like little balls on their paws.
Because I used to put booties on my dog.
Yeah.
My dog used to take it off. And the thing is, I always put it in my backyard because I have enough snow back there.
Mm-hmm.
I love the snow, and he's white, so I have to look for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he used to, as soon as I open up the back door, he used to like dive in,
Oh,
then jumps up like a rabbit, and dive back in again. Then I have to look for him. He's already on the other side. But yeah. So I do that, and as soon as it comes in the house, this dog was running 1,000 miles an hour all around the house to keep warm, and my daughter chasing with a towel because she wants to, take all the ice from her foot and everything. So, but the thing is, like you said, they get frozen. My dog is only out there for like 10, 15 minutes,
yeah.
and that's a lot, but
Hmm.
it's constantly doesn't stop, so I can't catch them anyway. But
Yeah.
the thing is, like you said, they freeze, and God forbid they get any of this salt or water in their mouth. I mean, the organs will actually shut down, right?
Their organs can shut down. Something I was just thinking about something. The other thing that happens is their joints, especially if they're getting older, their joints become affected because they're out in the cold for too long. I mean,
Right.
the things that humans experience when you're out in the cold, your animal experiences the same thing. Their face can get cold, their eyelids, if they get too much snow or something on their eyelids, those can get cold as well. And it's very difficult for them to recover from frostbite.
Right.
And there can be permanent ramifications from that. If they're told, if they're out in the cold on a repetitive basis, their paws can get frostbite, and they may have to have amputations. I've seen that before, having worked in animal hospitals, and that is
I was
the
going to say, you
horrible
were,
thing for an animal to go through.
you were staff in the ASPCA, right? You worked in the ASPCA?
I used to work at the ASPCA. Yeah, I used to work there. We had a lot of young cats and kittens that would be just dumped. I mean, people just dumped them like they were trash, and it's just I just can't think of anything else to say about that except soul crushing. And how could you even view an animal in such a horrible way? And these young cats and kittens, they don't have a chance. In fact, I was telling you, the colony that I had, a mother cat gave birth outside. I was able to rescue her, and there were 2 kittens. I thought that's how many there were. Apparently, I kept one. 2, I found homes for the mom and the other kitten. And when I went to, they were in a garage. And when I checked back with the owner, he said, I found 2 dead kittens. So apparently 2 kittens didn't make it. Because the kittens, when they're abandoned in the cold like that, they won't make it. They literally have maybe minutes, if that, when they're brought out in the cold like that. They just can't make it. So it's very important. That's why, again, I always come back to spay neuter. I'll always come back to that. That's why it's so important to spay neuter. We don't want to see these animals being dumped in the cold like this.
It's spay and neuter. If they're not spay and neuter, how many times do the cats breed? It's like 2-3 times a year, right?
They can breed up to 3 times a year. And between the cat that's giving birth and the male that's impregnating cats, you can have up to 300 cats plus from 2 cats in 1 year with all of their breeding. That's just 2 cats. Now imagine entire colonies, how many cats there are. I mean, I've seen that number of like over 100 cats in one colony in one season. And it just is, if you don't get on top of it right away, it's very, very difficult to get them managed.
Probably a lot of them doesn't even make the winter.
A lot of them don't. It's really, when I was doing rescuing on a daily basis, I was doing it. I had to resolve myself to knowing that there were some cats that I couldn't find. Some cats just wouldn't allow me near them because they had been either treated so badly by people, they were so afraid of humans, they just wouldn't let me near them. So I couldn't trap them. I never saw them again, Angel. And I just wondered, where am I going to see this cat again, or the dead cat maybe? I mean, it plagues me. It keeps me up at night, and it's really just heartbreaking to know that an animal would be so frightened that they wouldn't allow themselves to be near a human.
Well, I remember I did this like a decade ago, 10 years ago or more. I went to Long Island on a lady that she was a pet hoarder, and she loved these animals. Don't get me wrong. Her and her son, they were trying their best to keep up, and it was so hard to keep up. We actually picked up over 200 cats.
Mm,
Over 200, it was like 250. And we went in, before we got in there, we were like a half block away, and you could smell. So imagine. So we went in there with the mask. It didn't even work. We went in there, and we saw all these cats. They were like rats, holes all over the walls. They were
oh,
inside the house walls. They were inside the sofas and the couch. They were inside everywhere.
yeah, trying to keep warm.
So what we did was a friend of mine, his name is Des, the cat man,
Yep.
and he worked the operation.
Hmm.
And the way he worked his operation, he had vets and with him and nurses and with us. It was like a group of us. And we started getting these cats, And we was actually filmed in National Geographic. And the thing is, it was so many. I'm not lying. When we brought it, because we had a place to take it in Long Island. We have, for example, 10 cats in the car. When they get over there, there's 15 because they were giving birth inside the car.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's like non-stop.
Non-stop, yeah.
She was cleaning, and no matter how much she's trying to clean, the water was yellow. And she kept on trying to clean with the same water.
Mm.
I was just urine.
Oh God, yeah.
That's like another extreme, but it's exactly what you're talking about. So many cats.
Yeah.
They're strays.
Yeah.
Even though they're mouse, they're strays.
Yeah.
Like outside the street.
People keep throwing around the term feral, and I've never believed in a feral cat. And I know I'm sort of a lone person in this regard. I feel like every cat, every animal has the ability to adapt and trust a human if given the right situation, enough patience, enough consistency so that they feel and know that they're safe. I've taken in cats from my colony. All of my cats actually were from my colony. And people would tell me, no, they're feral. No, they're not feral. I brought them in. I just did the same thing every day, Angel. I gave them the food at the same time. I would talk to them sweetly, let them know they're safe. Their litter box was clean. They saw me doing all these things to care for them and gradually warmed to me and then became lap cats. That's it.
But the thing is also most of these dumb cats that people call feral because as soon as they snip the ear is the wild.
They're outside.
Dumped.
Mm-hmm.
People actually dump them in there. They think they're doing a cat a favor and just dump them in there. And then from there, you actually end up picking them up. And of course, they're not feral. I mean, some people down the West, they don't call them strays or feral. They call them community cats.
Community cats. Thank you. Yep.
So the community cats, and I like it, the way they changed the words from feral to
Yeah, feral is really negative. It connotates a really negative being, and there's nothing negative about them. I mean, all these cats that we have down in like South Yonkers, they're all friendly cats that people are just dumping, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating that they keep doing this.
So let's go back to the community cats.
Yeah.
And outside in the cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
People try their best, rescuers, to keep them warm.
Yep.
What's the best way to do this?
I was just talking with a friend of mine last night. She is actually in the process of, she's just getting into the rescue world, and she's just seeing the nightmare that it can be. She encountered a group of cats, a mother cat that gave birth. There's kittens out there. And so she asked me, Kristin, what do I do? I could really use your expertise. And I said, one thing you want to do, number one, is I know people want to leave water. You can leave it for a little bit. These are just the basics, but don't leave it too long because it'll freeze. And then when they try to drink, their tongue will freeze to the water. You don't want to do that. Wet food, same thing. In the wintertime, the best type of food to go with is dry food. This way it doesn't freeze again and their mouths won't freeze to the food. If you can stay around and while giving them wet food, then that's fine, but don't leave it out for them for it to freeze. Shelter, you can use those totes that you find at Walmart, or a styrofoam tote, any kind of tote that is big enough that will look like a shelter, and you can double it, and you can insulate the in between the tote or the whatever container you have with either straw, not hay. Hay is what you give animals to eat. Straw. Right. Or the other thing you can use are those mylar blankets. You know those blankets they use to keep people warm?
Yeah.
You can use those, and they're pretty cheap on Amazon. You can actually use a layer of that with the straw. And you have to be careful to not put too much in there because, as you had mentioned, you don't want the animals to get entangled in the straw and then accidentally suffocate themselves, strangle themselves. They can get hurt very badly
Right.
if they can't get out of there.
That's when they panic.
When they panic, they get really scared. They don't know what they're doing, and they just try to claw their way out. And the other thing too is you have to remember that when they're outside, they're probably going to be there's going to be some territory issues with the older cats or the male cats, and then also other animals like raccoons, skunks. I've actually trapped skunks before and had to release them. Not fun, but they will sort of work their way together. I've seen the skunks and the cats and the raccoons and the cats eat together. So don't be too frightened if you see that. That'll happen.
Right.
But the most thing is to make sure they have shelter. And make sure your shelter, the totes that you're using, are big enough so that it can hold 2 or 3 cats. One of those totes, and hopefully people know what I'm talking about, but they're the big totes. They can hold 2 or 3 cats. So you should have like one tote for 2 or 3 cats, per group of cats. And you can,
go ahead.
I was going to say, you can get those, like I said, at Walmart pretty cheaply.
There's one guy, I like the creativity that people have to keep them warm. One guy in Yonkers, he actually made it like a condominium.
I love it.
And he has a whole bunch of little holes in a tent.
Okay.
He puts it out there. Actually, I'm going to introduce you to him one day.
Yeah, please.
Because he's in Yonkers also. And he keeps them in there, and they go. They know where to go exactly. It's like, I don't know, probably like 10, 15.
Wow.
Go in there, and it's nice and warm. He has a heat lamp and everything.
Yep.
And then he puts the tent, like the tarp.
Yep.
He puts it around. This is awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
There's people that try to knock it down once, and he put it up again. That was only once that happened. But I love this, the way people think. If everybody does the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is great. But let me ask you one thing too. Let's see if I can show you right here.
Oh yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yep. Careful about cats crawling up into your engine. to stay warm. And the things you can do to try and see if there is a kitty, mostly kittens try to do this, is don't start your car, number one. Tap on the hood, use anything, the side, like the snow scraper, your fist, something to bang. But the thing is, even if you bang like that, they may not get out. And I know you say you don't want to open the hood, but if you can, if you feel comfortable, try to just kind of like stand back and see if you can open your hood. They're not going to jump out and jump on you. If anything, they're just going to look at you. And you're not going to encounter a skunk or a raccoon because they're not going to go in your car hood. It's usually just the cats or the kittens. So I think you'll be pretty safe.
Well, also the thing is you have to listen.
You have to listen.
People stay on their cell phone or they're in a hurry to go to work and they jump in the car, they don't hear that little noise. So it could be a skunk in there. It could be anything, any kind of animal. And the thing is, as soon as you start that car up, people say, well, hell with it, I got to go to work. I start the car and I leave. I don't care. Well, guess what? Your car's not going nowhere.
No.
They'll break the fan. They'll break something in there, and now you're stuck. You're not going to work. You're going nowhere. And you have everything messed up there. And if it's a skunk, your whole car's going to stink.
And I don't want to know what could happen to the animal. I mean, they could be burned to death because of I'm sure they're close to I don't know cars. I don't have one, but I'm sure they're close to something that could harm them immensely. And
Well, the goal with the heat is to place the most heat or whatever, the area that will actually stay comfortable and warm. Secure, it's another thing. The word is secure. It's not only keep warm, but a place that could hide. And that's a perfect place to hide. And they're going to end up some knucklehead just turn on the car. I mean, all of us, it only takes what? Not even a minute?
And not even a second or two. Yeah.
You boom, boom, you hear it's like a brrr.
Oh.
That's it. The animal runs off. That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
But, I also step back, too, when you hit it because if it's a raccoon, that's it, you get bit.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you have to be careful because, like I said, even if you tap, you have to be careful because I actually had people that have said to me, I pounded on my hood and this cat wouldn't get out of the car, and that's because it was freezing out and they needed a place to keep warm, so he had to open his hood, and the cat just sat there. When he opened the hood, the cat just like looked at him with big eyes, like, oh, don't hurt me.
Like a deer on
like they're like a deer in the headlight with no headlights. Yeah.
But the thing is, like you said, you have to watch out for these animals. I'm not saying that they're gonna hurt you, but you can hurt them.
Yeah.
Especially in the cold, they're trying their best. If everybody gets together and do, like the guy's name is Francisco, and make this condo for them or an area or something to secure these animals. I mean, and also to stop dumping them.
Stop dumping them.
The most important is what you're doing, which is spay and neuter.
Spay, neuter.
Everything.
Two things: stop dumping your animals and spay, neuter. If those two things were done consistently, we would no longer have stray and abandoned animals. And if people would also come together for these animals, if you don't like animals or you don't take to them, fine. Don't bother yourself with them, and don't bother the people that are helping them. Like you said, your friend, somebody tore down a shelter. I've had that happen many times. I can't tell you how many times I've said to people, you know what? This may be an inconvenience for you. I put up a shelter in the apartment building a few doors down, and the neighbors hated it. And I said, listen, the landlord's okay with it, and these cats have nowhere to go in the freezing cold. You come out here with your mittens, with your scarf, with your hat, your big coat. You're out here for 3 minutes and you're freezing your butt off. Imagine living out here. And then it kind of clicked to them. And they allowed me to keep the shelter up over there. And so when you see people that are helping these animals, just let them be. And if you can help them, see if you can offer to buy some food, or, you know, offer to help with spay neuter, or even better yet, if you can take one in, that's even better. But definitely, please don't bother people that are helping animals.
And also the thing is, when it's cold winter, we also have cars that break down because they freeze the pipes.
Yeah.
The antifreeze comes out.
Mm.
When the antifreeze comes out, the poor cats, it cracks them.
Yes.
Because it's sweet.
It's sweet. I was just gonna say, it's sweet.
And what
And
happens?
they will, if they ingest that antifreeze, I think it takes a couple of times, a couple of days, but they will suffer immensely. The other thing I wanted to talk about too, that we didn't touch too much on, is when they're outside, this is particularly for cats and kittens, they will succumb to something called feline AIDS and leukemia. And both of these are diseases just like you have in humans, AIDS and leukemia. And it can happen where one cat has it and they are communicable, meaning they can spread from one cat to another. Whether the summer, the winter, the fall, if they have this disease, it starts to eat them from the inside out, sort of like when a cat ingests antifreeze. It takes a couple of days, but it will literally destroy their insides, and they will become so sick that they will die. AIDS and leukemia are the same thing. It will eat them from the inside out. I've literally trapped cats in the winter that were so sick, and it takes months. They're sick for many months. I had one cat, and I'm not kidding, Angel. She crawled so slowly into the trap and was crying as she went into the trap. Her body was all filled with cuts and scrapes. Her jaw was all misaligned. I don't know what happened, because her other animals sense illness and weakness, and they prey on them. And so she couldn't fend off other animals because she was so sick. So she was getting beat up and just torn up. And I finally was able to get her, and her paw was bent all the way back. It was horrible. She made it to the vet hospital and died. And she cried the entire way. So that's another thing you want to be aware of, because animals, it's not like they're outside and they're just outside cats. They succumb to illnesses and bronchitis. The kittens get pneumonia just like people get, and that's why they can't survive. They don't have the immune system to fend off what the bacteria that can plague them, particularly in the winter. So that's why it's so hard for animals. You know, being outside, being born outside is detrimental for any animal, like it is for a human.
Now, something's coming up in the future, and it has to do with you. Let me just show it. Right?
That's it. Not a crazy cat lady.
You see the way knot is, right?
Yeah.
Put up like neon almost.
Yeah.
But what's it about?
So this is a documentary that I am working on with another Yonkers resident. Her name is Melissa Rodriguez of Riot Girl Productions, and we connected because I think I did something with the Yonkers Voice. I did an interview with the Yonkers Voice. She contacted me and was like, you know, I didn't know this was happening in our city. And we started talking, and I said, I'd love to be able to tell this story and do a documentary film. And I said, do you know of anybody? She said, yeah, me. And I said, okay, great. So we've been filming for the past, first of all, we thought it was going to be like a year, and we were going to be done because everybody would be on board, and we were going to get this spay-neuter clinic up and running. 3 years later, I'm still fighting. Well, I've been fighting for the spay-neuter clinic for 10 plus years. 3 years we've been filming, and we've been filming me rescuing, we've been filming me contacting Lionsgate Studios to give back to our community, contacting the mayor. It's all about stopping animal abuse, animal neglect, and getting a low-cost spay neuter clinic up and running. And when I tell you, Angel, it's been more than what I thought it was going to be. I really was just, it's been an eye-opener, because I thought even the rescue community, even some of the people in the rescue community have been not, they don't come together. There's so much infighting there that they don't come together, and it makes it so difficult. I hold the Yonkers Animal Rights March every year. You know, we get a handful of people that show up, and I keep telling people, if you don't show up, there isn't going to be any action. So this is what this film is about. It's really about my journey, trying to get this clinic up and running, and trying to, you know, hammer in to people in my community to stop abusing and abandoning cats and kittens. Not a crazy cat lady.
But the thing is, I mean, everything goes haywire if it's not controlled. And the only ones who can control it is the politicians coming out with laws and coming out with regulations to help out animals. And well, they should also do it for people too, but look what's going on now. But the thing is, that's what they have to do. And the thing is this, it's good what you're doing, 100%. But I also say is, people, animal lovers out there, vote. And they say something for animals, and they're going to do something vote for that person with the animals. The other guy's going to wake up and say, well, I got a feeling I got to do something for animals now, because animals don't vote, but the voters vote who owns these animals.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's a lot of laws that has to come out. A lot of laws that we still have laws like back in the 30s, or probably in the 20s, in 1800s, that it's not the way it's supposed. Right now, we're more educated, supposedly, and more technologies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do, these animals have to be taken care of.
Well, you know, that's also one of the things we touch on in the film, is just how corrupt our Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano, has been. And he wouldn't even meet with me. He wouldn't even talk with me about this, because he's so, when you have somebody in office that's so about building buildings, that's all he wants to do is build buildings, and he doesn't care about what the people care about. And yet he extended his third term. He got himself into office for a third term. And, you know, tonight is voting, and I got online and I did exactly what you're talking about. I just said to people, you want to see change? Vote the change. You don't want to see these animals suffering? Vote for the person that says he's going to help animals, because this mayor has put so much suffering on the streets. And every time he builds a building, what he does is he puts out rat poisoning supposedly for the rats. And even I think that's horrible. You don't need to do that. He puts it out, and guess who ingests that rat poisoning? All the cats and kittens that are around there. So then you have all these dead cats and kittens, and I know this just from experiencing. They won't code these cats and kittens as cats and kittens. They will code them as rodents, so that they don't get, hounded by animal rescuers and rights activists.
They suffer all the wildlife too, because there's no food change.
Yeah, exactly.
So if a cat eats a rat or a mouse, they get ingested.
Right.
Going down the line, even the hawks and the eels.
Yes. Yep. Everybody suffers. I mean, it's just bad for all the way around. It's suffering all the way around, and people like him, they don't care about life. They don't have a conscience. They have no compassion, and that's not the kind of person I want in my community. That's not the kind of politician I want in my area. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying the same thing. So I'm hoping we have voted Spano out. We're going to see after tonight.
The votes count. Now, we're over a half an hour, but that's the way our show is. We always go over. But also, before closing, If anybody wants to reach out to you,
Yes,
go here.
yeah, that's it. Yonkers Low Cost Spay Neuter Initiative.
Right out of
One day, Angel, that's going to read Yonkers Low Cost Spay Neuter Clinic.
That'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That would be awesome.
And then
So
you're going to have me back and it's going to be a clinic.
Great. So listen, Kristin, thank you. Thank you for being on our show again. Like I said, probably do have to bring you back with so many things going on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so much information. I hope the people grab this information. Listen, people, please watch over your pets. Keep them nice and warm. Do not leave them outside. Actually, you take their place. You stay outside and leave them inside. See how long you can be there. Okay?
That's exactly it.
So, and also, people, thank you for watching this show. Thank you. And please subscribe. Don't forget, hit that button. Subscribe. Tell others about us. Tell others about, and watch the other few past shows that we have and our future shows, and watch this one. Okay, so please,
Yes.
people, spay and neuter your pets. And
follow the pet detective.
you know where your pets are.
Thank you, Angel.